Alright, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. Today I've got some of the best entitled parent stories I've ever done for this series, and it's going to be a super long video. So if you're looking forward to it, press the like button. Without further ado, let's get into some super entitled parents. A playground entitled parent. Some background, there's a pretty big playground close to my home. It belongs to a kindergarten, but they allow people there after 4 p.m. if they follow the rule. There's also a swing for disabled people, but one of the ropes is missing, so no one would be able to use it anyway. And everyone uses it since a few people can swing at the same time, and it's pretty fun to sit there. So me, being a pretty young teen, was sitting on that swing, and my friend, let's call her Elle, was also there. But her mom called her, and she was standing a few meters away talking on the phone. On my right, there were two moms of boys that were both entitled kids that were about 4 and 6 years old, and the boys were just running around and playing. At some point, the kid ran in my direction and put his hands on the front of the swing. It swings sideways, but still, he could lose his fingers. I told him to back off since I didn't want him to get hurt, and he eventually did move away, only to stand next to the swing. And if I hadn't pulled one of the ropes as hard as I could, he would have gotten hit right in the face and possibly been seriously injured. Instead of being scared, he just started laughing, and I was fed up, so I laughed at him in an ironic voice, and that's when the mom noticed the situation and the conversation went like this.
What was that for? You don't have to make faces at my boy. Aren't you too old for this?
What faces? Aren't you too old to be on your phone instead of watching your kid?
Don't tell me what to do with my kid.
I will, since you don't know what you should do. That's heavy, and the metal swing almost hit him in the face. He could have died.
Well, if you don't like it, you can leave and go to another playground. You're too old to be here anyways.
I'm too old to play and enjoy life after hard work at school? She just mumbled something along the lines of like, ugh, these kids, and instead of watching the kid, went with the other parent to smoke. A few minutes later, Elle, who heard everything, came back and we had a good laugh and went to sit on the stairs. I thought they wouldn't bother me anymore, but I couldn't be possibly more wrong. I was just talking with Elle and had my training butterfly knife with me. It's not sharp. I'd say even a butterfly knife would be more dangerous. We were away from the kids, so I thought it would be okay, and a few minutes later, I noticed the two kids watching. I'm pretty good with the balisong, and I can do some pretty cool tricks, and it wasn't my first time having my knife with me in public, so it was quite normal that people were staring. Soon, though, the entitled parent that hadn't talked to me came closer and tried to touch my knife while I was doing some tricks. I closed it with a quick move and said, please don't touch it. It isn't dangerous for others, but you can hurt yourself when you touch it since it is metal. The kid wasn't too upset and just ran off, so I sure he was understanding and moved on. Later, he came back with both the parents, and our conversation was even funnier this time around.
Hey, you.
Me?
Yes, you. Who else could I be talking to?
I don't know, maybe to her, and pointed at my friend.
Don't be an idiot. So you have that thing in your hands.
Are you talking about this? Yeah, it's my training balisong. What about it?
I don't care what it's called. My son wants it.
Well, if your son wants it, you should care what it's called. You have to know what it's called so you can buy it. You can buy a pretty cheap one for only about 20 PLN, which is like whatever, apparently what you would pay for a small pizza in Poland.
No, my son wants this one. It looks way better than some cheap one.
You don't have to curse, there are kids here. I can't give you mine. It was expensive and I bought it with my own money and it cost about 200 PLN. If he's really interested in them, I could give him my old one. I don't use it anymore and it was cheap and I live close, so I could give it to him in like 10 minutes.
No, he wants this one.
At this point, Elle started giggling a bit, and I also couldn't keep a straight face, so I smiled. Sorry, but this one's not suitable for such a small kid.
Why not? A knife is a knife. If he can have your old one, he can have this one.
This one's heavier than the other one, and he could easily hit himself pretty badly, or if he dropped it and had his skin caught between the handles, it's quite painful. And then the other parent stepped in.
Well, if it's dangerous, you shouldn't bring it to the playground.
It's not dangerous for others, it's dangerous for the person using it. Even I hurt myself sometimes.
Well, if it's a serious hazard for our kids, we don't feel comfortable with you being here with that knife.
All right then. I put the knife in my pocket and then hide that pocket under my t-shirt just to make sure it won't fall out when I stand up.
Wait, no, you were supposed to give that to my kid.
At this point, I'm not even responding.
You either give it to the kid or we'll call the police. You have a weapon.
Go ahead. I think they would also like to hear about you throwing lit cigarettes into bushes where it could start a fire.
We're not done yet.
And then they all walked away. He really went full mask off CSGO in the middle of the park doing the butterfly knife tricks like he was surfing and sliding. I don't know why they were like coming up to you telling you to put it away. I mean, I understand them not liking it, but I don't know why they thought telling you to put it away would make you magically change your mind and give it to their kid. You know what? Now that you've told me to put it back in my pocket, I've thought about it, and I don't need it. I'll just give it to your kid instead. I don't know why people think their kid just deserved things that they didn't work for or buy themselves. It's as if, you know, they just magically are entitled to everything for, I don't know, being just some average kid somewhere. Even if you're above average, it doesn't make you entitled to other people's possessions. Entitled neighbor demands I drive her. It's long, and I haven't spoken to my neighbor for nearly 3 years after I began refusing to be her taxi. We had a decent relationship for a bit, always cordial, but my neighbor doesn't drive, and at the time I was a stay-at-home mom with a toddler and 2 kids in school. She first began by coming one afternoon and asking if I could take her and her kids to the dentist. Okay, sure, it's not far. Then another time, her child needed seen at urgent care and she needed me to take them, and this is when issues first began. That particular day, I had a contractor at the house and needed to finish with it, and she told me I needed to hurry. I told her it would take a while, but if it's an emergency, call for emergency services or an Uber. She said she would wait, so my contractor is done and we go, and I pick him back up, and she goes off for a while, off and on. And frankly, it's a little frustrating, but I'm trying to be neighborly, and then she began flipping it a little bit. One day, I get a text asking if I've left to take my kids to school. I had, and she said hers overslept and wanted me to drop them off for her. Our kids went to different schools, and I said yes, but she needs to come too because I'm not signing them in. She agreed, and I spent an extra 40 minutes out of the morning with my toddler who doesn't love being in the car, but okay again, just being nice. Then a pattern emerges. Kids keep oversleeping and knocking on my door or texting, and I try to run errands and drop my kids off, so I'm out, and I would get texts like, "Where are you? Will you be back from taking your kids to school soon? I need a ride." I say no, I won't be home, and she asks if my husband can do it since he works from home. No, he's working. She then got snippy and said she'd have to call them out of school again and they missed too much, and I ignored it and went about my errands. My toddler had some health complications, so we were often at the doctor, and while there, I got another text asking where I am and when I'll be home. I said I was in the next city over and I had no clue and that she needed to call an Uber. She claims that Uber is unsafe and is going to get her killed, and then says she'll get a ride to her apartment in the same city, and I can wait for her to be done and take her home. I ignored her after that, and next week I'm at another doctor far away from home, and again I get a text. This time it's, "Where are you? You're not home again and your husband won't answer the door. We need a ride to the dentist in 30 minutes or I'll have to cancel the visit. Can you hurry home?" I'm beyond tired of being questioned about my whereabouts, and my husband doesn't even do that, so I ignored her, finished the visit, and took my kids to get treats. And then a text, "Are you coming? I need you to hurry." And again I ignored it, because I'm over it at this point, and then, never mind, we missed it. The final straw was 2 weeks later. She meets me outside while I'm doing yard work, and she's got her kids signed up for an orthodontist and needs me to drive them to monthly appointments, and she'll pay for gas. And the kicker is, the orthodontist is about 40 minutes drive down in a bad part of town. Consider the appointments can take an hour and then 40 back every month for roughly 2 years. I didn't want to do it. She said I could just wait with my toddler or there's shopping nearby, and I told her flat out no. I don't like being far from the kids' school in case I gotta get to them, and my toddler will be miserable and that's just too far. I asked her why she booked an orthodontist that far when she doesn't drive, and she said because it was cheaper. She kept arguing, but I stayed firm in my no. She was very frustrated with me and had been frustrated I hadn't been around more lately to help her out. My husband is mad at this point and had told me completely to stop because she's using me and he doesn't like it, and he was right. I told her I won't change my mind, and she grew cold towards me, and she got another ride, but then 1 month later, her ride bailed on her, and she came asking if I would take her, and I told her no. I explained it last time and said it wasn't changing, and she was furious and legit never spoke to me again, and I certainly won't reach out for more of that. Bro, I don't know how people like this exist, because I feel mad annoying whenever I ask anyone for anything, dude. Like, if I don't get a fork with dinner, you know, in my mind, oh, it's fine, I'll just eat with my hands. Like, that's my attitude. I don't think that's the healthiest way to deal with it either, but I'm just saying, I don't know how people get to the point where they're, like, demanding that their neighbor hurry up and come home from their errands because they need a ride. I would feel so guilty being that annoying on someone else's life, like demanding them to be a place at a certain time. No, thank you. Why were you not home sooner? I had an appointment. 'Cause that's your appointment and not my problem. Maybe learn how to drive, bro. Entitled Aunt tries to make me give up my new cooking book as I'm too young to have it. Backstory, I love cooking. It's one of my greatest passions and it makes me feel relaxed. So 2 days ago, my mom and I are shopping at Walmart and we passed the books section, and I'm not sure if other Walmarts are like this, but in ours, the cooking books are on the book aisle. I'm 13 and like I said, I love cooking. My mom sees the book and asks me if I want to buy it. Now you might be thinking, why would your mom want to buy you a cooking book if she could just teach you? Well, my mom has a very life-taking job, if that makes any sense, and I'm not quite sure what she works as, and she's never told me, but I do know that when she's home, it's usually for a few hours and then she's back to work. I'm at an age where I'm responsible enough to be left at home, so anyways, yes, I love getting new cookbooks, and I have about 8 at this point, so my mom buys the book for $15, and once we get it, I immediately take it out and start reading through it, and I cook dinner for me, my mom, and it turns out to be great. The following day, my aunt and her daughter decide to come over to the house because they hear I got a new recipe and want to try it out. It was my cousin's 2-year anniversary of beating breast cancer, and once they arrive, my cousin and entitled aunt sit as I make dinner. My mom is in her room on her computer finishing up a meeting, and once dinner is made, I call my mom down and she comes out and sits at the dinner table along with everyone else. You might be thinking this is a lot of responsibility or I'm not acting my age, but honestly, I like cooking, and it's something I really enjoy and it relaxes me, and I'm glad I can make other people happy with my food like my cousin. Especially considering that was the 2-year anniversary of her beating breast cancer. Anyways, after dinner, my cousin and my mom start talking about her school life while I asked my aunt to help me do the dishes. This is me being open to having a conversation with her. Anyways, after a while, she starts bringing up the new cookbook that's currently sitting on the counter next to me, and she starts asking where I bought it and things like that. And once I tell her it was the last one, she starts getting aggressive. What do you mean it was the last one? I mean that was the last one and there's no more left. But your cousin deserves it. It's a special day to her. At this point, she's no longer helping me, just staring at me. Well, I'm sorry, but I can't give up this cookbook as it was the last one and my mom's going on a trip and she won't be back for a week and a half, so I need to cook dinner. Sure, I could have used the other cookbooks I have, but I really wanted to try this one. And she was furious. Well, I don't care about it. It's my daughter who beat Cancer's Day and you're too young to have it anyways. At this point, I'm speechless and I don't understand why she wants it so bad. I'll tell your mother that you hate us. But the thing is, while she's been yelling, my mom has heard the entire thing, and my mom says that she's sorry, but she's gonna have to ask them to leave. At this point, my cousin is practically dragging my entitled aunt out of the door, and later on, my cousin apologized for her mom's behavior, and I told her it wasn't her fault and told her if it was such a big deal, she could borrow my cookbooks. She agreed, and I'm letting her borrow one of the older cookbooks. Anyways, today I got a call from my entitled aunt demanding that I take the old book back and give her the new book that I got. And when I told her no, and that Casey was happy with the older book and even said she would give it back as soon as she could, my aunt went insane, screeching over the phone about how unfair it was and I was too young to be cooking in the kitchen. Should I just give her the book? Listen, first things first, congrats, your cousin beat breast cancer. That's sick. That being said, it doesn't even seem like she wants the book that bad. I mean, her mom is freaking out, being like, you need to give it to her. But if she was cool with taking the old book and also wasn't mad that you didn't want to give her the new one, I don't understand what your aunt's problem is. Listen, I know that your cousin's not upset, so it's my job to be upset for her. Now give her your possessions. I don't know, just let her borrow the book if she wants, but it doesn't even sound like she really wanted to. Your aunt's definitely power tripping for sure. She's like George Lopez from Shark Boy Lava Girl, Mr. Electro over there. That's how charged up she is for absolutely no reason. Tell her to go take a chill pill or something. My entitled mother ruins my niece's first birthday. Last Friday, as of writing this post, I woke up late and my entitled mom was not bothered enough to wake me despite being awake since 5 a.m. and let me sleep until 8. The night before, I told her to wake me up at 6 so I could get dressed, eat breakfast, and put on my suit for an interview. I was going to work at John Lewis for the work experience, and I was walking up to my school and my brother calls me. Hey little bro, how are you? Good. How's your girlfriend and niece? They're good. I actually just wanted to talk to you about something. Can you come to the niece's party on Sunday? It's a really special day and I want you to help me set it up early in the morning. Sure, should I tell mom? No. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. How about grandma? Sure, but you need to make sure that she promises not to tell mom. Got it? All right, see you Friday. Saturday comes around and I'm woken up with the worst sound any teenage boy could be woken up to. Get up and get dressed. We're going shopping with Grandma. Ah, crap, she told her. We go to the clothing store and I ask Mom why we're here, and she says that we're there to buy my niece a gift. Did Grandma tell you? No, your sister did. After about 5 minutes, I go on my phone and tell my brother the news, and I see my mom with an adult-sized dress for my baby niece. Mom, isn't that too big for her? No, it will be fine. After all, your father's paying for this. Okay then. We ended up checking out and going home for the day, and then came Sunday. I woke up at around 5 to try and sneak to my brother's house to set up the party, and by the time I got dressed and said goodbye to my PC, I got left with a grunt from my mother. Where do you think you're going? To my brother's house? How dare you? You lie to me. We aren't meant to be there until 3. Your grandma said. I'm sorry, he likes me more than you. I'm going there like he asked me. Get back here, young man, or else. Or else what? If you break my PC, that's over 1,000 pounds in property damage, and if you take anything of mine, I'll report it as theft, and everything in my possession is owned by either me or Dad, and unless I see Dad gave you permission, I won't let you touch anything. And I slammed the door. I got to my half-brother's house to set it all up, and then at 3, all hell broke loose. Everyone but my mom and grandma are at the party, and we start opening my niece's gifts. She starts babbling and laughing with the new toys she got, including a toy that I bought her. It was a talking, singing Barney plushie. And then the Fire Nation, me and my mom and grandma arrived. They start shoving people out of the way and put a present in the pile, and we open it next, and then it all clicked. My mom pretended to get a dress for the niece, but got it for herself. Ah, what a shame it's not her size. Oh well, I spent good money on that, so I'll take it back now. Really? Are you sure you didn't just try to buy that for yourself so you could say you tried? How could you? She's 1 year old and you're 55. How would you mess up sizes that badly? Don't yell at me. I said I got it for her, not me. You just said that you would take it back. Don't pull a, oh, me and da-da-da got that purple dragon for her because I bought it with my own money. Anyways, my brother's girlfriend spoke up at that point. Everyone stop. I think you should stay, but if you make one more mistake, you're out of here, she said to my mother. And my half-brother said, so we are just gonna sit here and watch the niece while we go get the cake. My mom was pissed off, but sat there. Flash forward a couple minutes, and out comes the cake, and it's a beautiful cake with rainbow icing and vanilla flavoring. Why is it vanilla and not chocolate? Oh, that's because my half-sister and her dad are allergic to... I don't care, I want it to be chocolate. Just calm down, you're gonna scare the niece. I don't care if I scare her, I want chocolate cake. My half-brother looked at my mom and said, I'll get you a chocolate cake, and then a crash. My mom, in her rage over the chocolate cake, had knocked over the cake for the party, and this is where everything gets worse. Get out, Mom, get out! But get out! My mom ran off crying and my grandma followed her outside, and I apologized to my brother saying I couldn't stop her. It's alright, it was out of your hands anyways. So the party is disbanded, and this was the straw that broke the camel's back. I'm gonna move out as soon as possible and go no contact with her, and I need help on what to do for the next 3 years as I'm 15 and don't know what to do. Damn, bro, your mom sounds like she sucks. I love her evil master plan. I'm gonna buy a dress for a 1-year-old baby in my size and then just pretend it was an accident. It's not like you were off by a size. That's like 900 sizes, let's be honest here. There's no way anyone was gonna buy that. Oh, what a silly mistake. Oh well, I guess I'll just take it back. And if you're gonna throw a fit anywhere, I feel like a kid's birthday party is the lamest place to do it because it's just not about you. Like, could you not hold it together so her granddaughter could have a good day? It was her granddaughter's birthday, and she's like, yeah, nope, I'm not going to be able to hold it together. I have to be dramatic. It's the only reason I was put on this earth is to be as dramatic as humanly possible. I don't blame you for wanting to get out of there, but you're probably going to have to wait 3 years. I don't think there's any real way for you to skedaddle. Dealt with an entitled parent and her 4 entitled children for 10 years. My stepmother is a horrible woman. When she met my father, she already had 4 kids in tow, 2 of them from one man, twins from another, and then had another other kid with my dad. When me and my brother would visit them for a couple days, it was like the Brady Bunch from hell. Not only were her twins pathological liars, but they would also steal my things when I was away. I can't count how many times I'd leave only to come back in 2 weeks to find clothes, blankets, toys, and electronics completely vanished. If I ever asked my step-siblings about it, their mother would chew me out for losing everything, even when I hadn't even been there. Remember when I said they were liars? They would also blame anything they could on me or my brother. Something broken? Our fault. Someone crying? Our fault. They would even convince us rules had been changed and that we could go outside and play at night or use all the food to cook breakfast before mom woke up. And whenever the stepmom would finally wake up, she'd scream and her kids would blame us, telling her that we forced them to do it. And the twins were a little younger, so my step-demon was convinced I somehow influenced her children and would punish me non-stop. Her favorite form of punishment was to put us in a corner and make us stand there for hours. The only time it was ever cut short was when I or my brother began to cry from the pain, and she'd also make us skip meals and have us stand in the corner while they prepare food, ate, and cleaned up, and then send us to bed. Once, when her baby girl, one of the twins, walked past me, I happened to be clenching my fist, hoping to distract myself from the discomfort in my lower body while standing in the corner. The girl, who was younger but easily a good few inches taller and quite a few pounds heavier, flinched and backed up. I wasn't even looking at her, but she told her mom that I tried to hit her. I told her that wasn't the case, but mom took her side, grabbed me by my arm, dragged me to the car, telling me she was going to bring me to the police station and demand they give me a polygraph test to see if I was lying. I was crying how my legs hurt and now did my arms, and I really didn't want to be taken to the police station. It wasn't that I have bad experience with the cops, it was just a 7-year-old girl who was terrified and a bunch of policemen interrogating me. So I admitted to it. Sobbing, I told her I would never do it again, but I was angry and I was sorry. And she put me back in the corner and I stood there for an hour before my father came home and sent me to my room. For anyone wondering why my dad did nothing, I guess he has major depression and PTSD from his time overseas and other personal reasons. So she would just convince him I was lying and a selfish girl who wanted to manipulate him, and he had no choice but to believe her since she was his wife. He was just as much a victim of that house as I was, and he's apologized for ever being with that woman and bringing her children into the lives. I have more stories, but I'll leave it at that and see if anyone wants more. Listen, I've had a lot of stories sent in to me about crazy step-parents, but I feel like your stepmom is truly evil. Like twirly mustache tying people to the train tracks evil. That sounded absolutely insane. What is her issue, bro? Making you stand in a corner for hours? That's genuinely psychotic behavior. I'm not laughing because it's funny, it's just like your stepmom is nuts. I think this person might win the entitled parents subreddit, like the most entitled. Yeah, she would make me stand in the corner for hours and skip meals while they ate in front of me. That literally sounds like something from like a book or some prison camp. Not something your stepmom is supposed to do. Entitled Mom Gets Upset at Store Clerk. Hi, I'm new here and thought that this deserved to be here. The interaction was kind of bizarre as I witnessed it firsthand and in the end didn't do much, and I wish I did more to stop it before it escalated. So a bit of context, where I live you can't buy knives or lighters until you're officially 18. If you try, the cash register will shut down until a manager types in a password. At least in the store it happens. Basically, the machine will scan the ID, and if it's not valid or even says the person is a day younger than 18, it pops up with invalid ID, enter password to return to checkout. And in case this happens when no manager is there, which is rare, the staff are kinda stuck with one register down until one arrives. I'm a regular there, so the employees know me by name and I'm 18. I don't look it though, and also the way the store is set up, you have to walk in the door and turn left into the store, and the checkout line is blocked off by racks, so if someone is blocking the path, it's hard to get through the store and back out the door. It was never an issue, well, not usually, and sometimes a big cart was in the way, but usually people would be polite and say, I'm almost done, I'm sorry, and there's 2 registers in the store, one behind the other. Anyways, onto the entitlement. I had just finished shopping for dinner and got some spaghetti stuff and some lighters for my incense, and also had a small black pocket knife being held for me. I got in line behind the kid who looked to be 16 or 17 and was waiting patiently, and as the kid gets to the register, he plopped a pocket knife knife and some lighters on, and I just wait my turn. A lady at the till, who we'll call A for awesome, scanned his items and then went to hand him his ID. Apparently, he was only a few days from turning 18, and the interaction that followed went something like this, and we're gonna call the kid D for dummy. Will this be all? Yeah. Looks at the ID. Can you verify your age?
I'm old enough. Just scan the items.
Starts to explain. The ID states he's too young.
My birthday's tomorrow. Just sell the stuff and do your job.
A shrugged and scanned the items, and then the ID and the machine flashed up the box. The manager was on a break and not in the store. I'm sorry, I tried to tell you it wouldn't let you through.
I'm not leaving without my items.
At this point, there had to be an extra 10-minute longer wait than I had wanted, and A calls over her coworker at this point, who opened register 2 and waved me over. We start chatting as I'm getting my things scanned, and in enters the entitled mom of the dummy kid, and this was roughly what happened after.
Hi, sweetie, are you done? No, she's not letting me pay.
Your ID has locked the register. I can't activate any of the functions that will allow you to pay.
She's lying.
How dare you hold up my precious son? He's old enough. Let him pay. A, still standing firm. Look, ma'am, I can't open any of the functions until a manager arrives. Well, then get them. I want to get out. I want to get you fired for this. She's on break, but you're free to wait.
Mom, I want my presents.
You're too young, and I can't sell these to you.
No, he's not. Stop lying. Just scan my ID.
She was looking fed up now and reminded them that that was not how the system works. At this point, I feel I'm getting stupider just by witnessing this, so I now put my lighters up and ask if they still have the knife, and they say yes and pull out a tiny multi-tool pocket knife from behind the counter and scan it, and I hand them my ID. Alright, will this be all, or do you need new headphones again? They always jokingly said this because it was an inside joke. No, it's alright, I'm fine. They scanned my ID and I paid, but the entitled mother took notice of this and screeched out, "That girl appears to be the same age of my son." No, she's not. She must have a fake ID. She must. Ma'am, I can assure you her ID is not fake. A took me to get it after her shift a few weeks prior. The kid walked over to me and held his hand out, and I looked confused at him and tried to walk away, but he blocked me in.
My ID doesn't work. Give me yours.
No, as she said, the machine doesn't work like that. Great idea, honey. Now hand it over. Again, no. Ma'am, please stop harassing her. She's done nothing wrong. And can you please move? You're blocking the line. 1 second. And she reached for my ID. Ma'am, I'm warning you not to touch me. For more context, I'm military trained and have a ridiculous amount of strength due to a birth defect. Oh, don't be a... If you touch me, you will be restrained. I was in full view of the camera and said it loudly so people could hear to cover my butt. The entitled mom rolled her eyes and grabbed the arm my wallet was in, and A was already calling the police, so I grabbed her wrist and restrained her. I didn't hurt her, just took her wrist and held it behind her back, pushing her down, and she was quite small, so this was the best thing to do as to not hurt her. I'm not a violent person, so this was keeping things from escalating. The dummy kid appeared to be terrified and unsure of what happened, while his mom was screaming profanities on the ground. The police showed up, and I let go once they did, as I didn't want to be seen as the aggressor. The entitled mom started making up some wild tale about how the employees weren't cooperative and how I had attacked her. That's not what happened. Can I take you to the CCTV footage? The police said fine and started to get statements. I told the truth and explained I warned her, but she made up her twisted version. However, the cashier's statement matched my own. Ah yes, my ID doesn't work, and even though the entire system has been shut down because they scanned my ID and they need a password to reopen it, just give me your ID. Perfect logic. Also, I know a lot of people are probably like, oh, you didn't need to fight her, she just grabbed you. Yeah, I'm tired of pretending that like you just have to let strangers grab you and take your things. I think if more often somebody tried this, they ended up face down in the middle of the grocery store getting questioned by the cops, they wouldn't do it as much. It doesn't matter how right you think you are, Karen. Your kid just can't buy this stuff if he's not 18. Why did they think that like the automated system would be able to make an exception for them? It's not even like they really nicely asked a worker. That's like trying to go buy alcohol the day before your 21st birthday and then being surprised Pikachu when it doesn't work. Like, yeah, duh. I met and dealt with my first entitled parents at my new job. This is my first post here, but I have read and listened to many stories from here and finally have one of my own. Recently, I started a new job at an amusement park, and so far I love it. The colleagues I work with are wonderful, and most of the time the customers make the job worthwhile. However, as I said, most of the time customers are wonderful, but unfortunately that wasn't the case the other day, so I had my own run-in with the not-so-elusive entitled parent. My job consists of work on different activities around the park, with me being placed on our water slide on this particular day. The water slide is not like one you would find at a water park because it consists of 3 slides, 2 that are orange and faster and give a more bumpy ride, and 1 yellow, which is an enclosed tube that goes around in a spiral, and with each guest getting sent down on a rubber dinghy which we allow 2 people to sit in. We have specific rules in place that we have to follow for who we can send down the slide for safety reasons to ensure no one gets hurt. The rules we have to follow are as follows. No one under 1 meter can ride the boats at all. No one under 1.25 meters high can go down without someone over 16. Anyone over 1.25 meters may ride the orange slide but be accompanied by someone else over 1.25 meters tall, and 2 people over the age of 16 can't ride together. Now in this story, it is the second rule that's the most important. Imagine a nice warm day, which here in the UK we are not treated to that often. Also, it's during a school holiday for England, so we had our fair share of holiday makers about the park. I was working at the top of the slide by myself, because we usually have 2 up there, but we're understaffed, with a pretty long queue when I finally got to meet the villain of the story. She was a person from Liverpool, with 3 kids in hand, and I began to measure the height of the kids, and all 3 of them fell short of the 1.25 meter high limit. Now, normally on a quiet day, if the kids are just off, we can bend the rules a little bit, but these kids are very obviously below the limit. I start to explain this to the woman, and I'm very sorry, but unfortunately, the kids are too short to go down this ride by themselves or each other. Just let them go down, it'll be okay. I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to do that for safety reasons. I'm sure it'll be okay, we won't tell. I really can't do that. There's a high chart before you queuing showing the rules for this ride, which you are asked to check before you get in line. I checked their height when I was down there and they're fine. Well, unless your children shrunk on the way up here, I find that hard to believe. You're being ridiculous. I have my friend at the bottom. Let me ask them to come up here to go down with one of the kids, then we can leave the other with you while I make my way back up, once we've gotten off. There is a long queue, and getting your friend to push past people will make the other people in queue upset, so we can't do that. But it didn't matter. She shouted from the top of the slide to her friend, Karen, come up here so we can go down this slide. As I said, your friend coming up won't help, but I'm still being ignored, and the entitled parent sat in the boat and instructed her spawn to sit in the other before I could say something. And her friend came pushing through the queue, and the entitled parent instructed her friend to get in the boat so they can go down, which they proceeded to attempt to do, but I blocked her way and told them both, please, I already said I can't allow this. Please don't sit in the boats. Just send us down and quit being a jerk about the rules. This caused me to cave, and I told them they will not be going down the slide in the boats, but had to go back down the steps and are now banned from the ride. But they refused, so I called the radio to my big boss to come deal with it, and I apologized to the other guests waiting and sat down on my control panel until the boss man got there, ignoring everything the entitled parent shouted at me. It all ended with the entitled parent not just getting kicked off the ride, but from the park. And I feel bad for the kids, but it was hot and I was stressed and wanted them gone. I later heard after from my work colleague at the bottom of the slide that the lady called me a jerk, but he said he had to disagree with her and he couldn't believe that for a second. Yep, that's the best way to go about this. Take your kids to an expensive amusement park and then just break all the rules so they're forced to kick you guys out, and then blame it on the worker even though you just broke the rules and they kind of had their hands tied. I don't know what people expect you to do when they come to you at your job and loudly yell out, just break the rules, we don't care. Yeah, we know you don't care. That's why the rules exist. But if I don't care, I no longer have a job. And believe it or not, I'm not getting fired so that way your kids can go down a water slide. It's just not gonna happen. I don't know why people expect you to put your living on the line for them to do something stupid that doesn't actually matter. If you don't let my kids go down this water slide, I will be forced to punch you in the forehead repeatedly. Well then get to punching, Mike Tyson, cause it ain't happening. Entitled Mother versus Paramedic. It was 10 a.m. on a cold January day in the north of Germany, and after finishing a call, we sat down for coffee at our station and were ready for anything. Our pagers rang and showed girl feeling unwell, no further information. And that can mean anything from just a cough to CPR, and on the radio, dispatch told us that a woman called and said her daughter feels sick and is having chest pain. Age wasn't told and she hung up. After arriving in a small village with lights and sirens, the mom came out. Why all the noise and the lights? The neighbors think that I killed someone. Ma'am, you called us with unclear symptoms, so we need to be fast and prepare for anything. Where's our patient? Follow me, but stamp your foot. I don't need more dirt on my carpet. After stamping our foot and going up the stairs, we arrived in a bedroom, and the floor was full with vomit, and a 17-year-old girl was sitting there. She was sweating and told us about chest, stomach pain, and dizzy spells she had, and we did our scheme and checked everything out, and after giving her some medications with a needle in her arm, we tried to walk with her to the ambulance, and that didn't work, and she just sat down and couldn't walk because she was too weak. I told my partner to get the chair that we have to transport patients down the stairs, and suddenly the mom interrupts, and I feel bad for the girl. Why don't you walk? You need to be stronger. No wonder you didn't get a position on the soccer team. I interrupted her because I can't stand this kind of crap. Sorry, but now is not the time to discuss that. She feels very sick and we need to get to a hospital to make sure it's not something serious. I know a great hospital. My sister works there as a doctor. It's Hospital XY. That won't work. First, it's a rehab clinic for patients after operations, strokes, and more. And second, it's 300 kilometers away, and your daughter would suffer from a long drive, and we're not 100% what's causing this. We'll see. I'll call someone. After that, she walked out and I was there with the girl who could barely speak and felt really unwell. She just said sorry for her mom and I told her everything's okay. Only her health matters at the moment. A minute later, my colleague came up and we sat her on the chair, did another blood pressure and ECG check, and the blood pressure was a bit high and that's normal because of stress, and the ECG was normal. After getting her downstairs and onto the stretcher, I went to the ambulance and set some things up and noticed the driver doors open and wondered. I went to it and saw EM sitting on the driver's seat trying to do something with the GPS. What are you doing with the GPS? Putting the address of the clinic where my sister works. It's the best place to be. She's still on my phone. The mom gave me the phone and I talked into it. Hi, this is a paramedic from the ambulance service. Who am I talking to? This is Dr. Akula from the rehab hospital. My niece is your patient. Yeah, she's stable but feeling very unwell. We're just gonna go to the nearest hospital. Why don't you come here? I also work at an ER at the hospital near ours. This discussion is pointless. I'm not taking a very ill girl with unclear diagnosis on a 3-hour drive. Maybe you can just fly her in. Maybe I should explain that to dispatch or the helicopter crew. You know that's not possible. Thank you for the offer and have a nice day. I hung up the call and talked to the mother again. Because you didn't change anything on our system that could prevent us from helping others, I'm not going to call the cops for this. Mostly because your daughter's very sick and needs to get to a hospital. So just let us do our job and you can join your daughter later because of the COVID hospital visitor rules. I still think the other hospital is a better option, but you do what you think is best. After that, she walked back into the house without even talking to her daughter. After loading the girl in and getting our stuff sorted, we drove to the ER where doctors took care of the teen, and I also warned the doctor the mom was a bit special. But like everyone else in healthcare business, he's used to meeting crazy people. Dude, imagine your kid being so sick they need to go to the hospital and you start making demands on which one. No, that hospital simply won't do. I don't like the wallpaper that they have in there. If my daughter's going to be in the hospital, it needs to be in a room that at least looks like an HGTV special. I'm surprised the paramedics had this patience. I feel like that's one of those jobs where you're entitled to not have a lot of patience, you know? I mean, you have a lot of literal patience, but not the dealing with crazy people patience. After call number 30 of having to deal with this stuff, I would have just told the mom to get out of my way because I do not have time for this. Apparently, it is not okay for me to eat meat while I'm babysitting my cousin for free. I have an uncle who I'm gonna call Hal. Hal is 2 years younger than me and we pretty much grew up together. Hal is a good guy, but when it comes to his wife, Sydney, the entitled mom in this story, he has simply no backbone. They have a 6-year-old daughter and a 9-year-old son. And almost a year ago, Cindy decided that they were going to go vegan. It wasn't a discussion, it was a declaration. Their house was going animal-free. Hal and the kids went along with it with no major protests, though Hal would still eat meat when he was not around her. This summer, they sent their son to camp for 8 weeks, and while he's gone, they wanted to take some time to go away by themselves, so they asked me to watch my cousin for a week. I already have 6 of my own kids living here, so what's one more? Sure, she can stay for the week. So they head off somewhere to Florida, and I go about my babysitting duties. I understand and respect their dietary choices, and I've been providing, my cousin with 100% vegan meals. But yesterday, I posted a picture to my Instagram of a black bear steak I made for myself, and Cindy calls me flipping out for cooking meat while her daughter is under my roof and accusing me, of trying to convert her back to a meat eater. She then tells me, asks me not to make any more meat until they get back and take their daughter home. I told her that she was being ridiculous, and while that I was happy to feed her child vegan meals, I would not be told what I can and can't eat in my own home. Dude, this is just absurd. If someone else is vegan, that's their choice. You don't want to eat meat, you can make that choice all day. I'll support your choice to make it. But it's not like he was trying to force feed his vegan niece a steak. He just made it for himself. I'm not seeing the problem here. You cannot even make meat in the same building as me. Okay, well then come get your kid that I'm also watching for free. Babysitters aren't cheap. I don't know why you would want to poop all over the one that's doing it for free. Anyways, guys, I think that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to press the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments section down below. This was a much longer video than normal, so if you did make it this far, I'd really appreciate y'all liking and commenting. Be sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications. And if you like these, I got a whole playlist of them in the description. Feel free to check it out. But yeah, on that note, don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. I'm out. Peace.